Welcome to Empowered by AI, the podcast for women entrepreneurs ready to harness AI to take their businesses to the next level. I'm your host, Michelle Muncie Silva, founder of Innovative AI Studios. You may have left corporate life to start this entrepreneurial journey, but you don't have to go it alone. Here, you'll find a supportive community of like-minded women and an invaluable thought partner each week, as my guests and I share actionable insights you can use right away. So let's dive in together. We have get tested. I am so excited for this conversation because I got to hear you speak at a social Saturday with She Leads AI. And I'm really excited for what you're bringing to the table today as well. So can you take a minute, just tell the listeners all about you and your magic that you're bringing today?
Yes, absolutely. Michelle, thank you so much for having me on this podcast. It is truly an honor and a pleasure to be here and listen to some of the recent episodes, and they are absolutely brilliant. Everyone, my name is Gena. I lead people operations and AI transformation at a marketing technology company called Ignitium. We're a scaling high growth company. I'm originally from the beautiful Mediterranean country of Albania, and I now live in my dream city of San Francisco. I see myself as a bridge between people and technology. So, on one side, I ensure that AI is being implemented responsibly and strategically. But also on the other side, I want to make sure that my people are skilled, they're connected, they're empowered. And I see my role as not just connecting these two sides, but also walking with my people through this bridge of change almost to get to the other side. And this other side is one where AI is accelerating our human potential and not replacing it. I'm an internal AI optimist. I've spent the last few years of my career at the intersection of leadership, technology, and transformation. And I have created leadership programs, AI governance frameworks, executive boot camps, but they all have been rooted in one mission, which has been helping leaders lead AI with foresight and strategy, not fear, and to make AI transformation human first and not tool first.
And you say that there is AI powered and human enabled. Do you see that as this tension that lovingly exists together, or am I wrong in saying it's a tension? Can you break that down for us?
Yeah, I do say that. And I love that your podcast is also called AI Empowered. But I do feel like the future of work is AI powered and human enabled. And it sounds like a tagline, but really it's a fundamental reframe, especially working in the tech industry. Because you're right, Michelle, that tension does exist. I think a lot of people think AI and humans are very much like in opposition. But I really believe, and research is showing that the highest performing teams are those that are pairing AI scale of the things that AI is really good at with human strengths that AI is not good at yet, like ethics and empathy and creativity and leadership. So in practice, I think AI powered means you use tools for what they're good at. So, like for generative AI, it can summarize billions of rows of data, right? It can draft your emails, it can create your first draft, it can analyze your employee sentiment. But it doesn't mean anything without that human factor. So, like the human enablement piece is that people are freed up to focus on those things that only humans can do really well. You can build trust, you can solve those like really nuanced ambiguous problems. You can collaborate, you can lead initiatives. In fact, when I first took over our AI implementation and I was communicating our AI strategy at Ignitium, I had this North Star for the team that was guided by this principle. And it was that our people's time is spent on high impact projects aligned with their human strengths and supercharged by AI. AI is certainly very helpful, right? It can eliminate all the non-essential repetitive tasks, but at the end of the day, it's for us, right? It's to help us focus on our highest value work. I feel I have a very timely example for you. I am currently working on automating parts of our new employee process, thinking of welcome packets, FAQs, and I want to save us hours, right? I want to save myself and my staff hours, but instead of removing that human element, what we're doing is reinvesting that time back into the process through mentorship, through connection. Meaning, yes, we can have a faster ramp up that AI can full power, but where that human enablement comes in is building that strong team integration and that sense of belonging that an AI agent that you're asking questions is never going to be able to provide for you. So to me, it's let AI do the repeatable and then let humans do the relational piece.
I love the fact that you're not just filling that time saved with more work to do, but actually taking advantage of what humans can do so well, which is relationships and collaboration and that shared understanding.
And I think it also increases employee satisfaction too, because when you think we love doing things that we are good at, it brightens our day when we get to use our strengths at work. And that's what I see AI as. It's saving us time so we can have more meaningful, value driven work.
Yeah. And I think so many people are running in, they're rushing. It's like a ready, fire, aim kind of moment, right? It's AI. Okay, boom, go. And they're really hoping it will fix, say, a broken system. So, where do you see people going wrong with adoption, and what does responsible adoption actually look like?
You know what's really funny is that some people aren't even aiming in that way.
So, it's just ready, fire.
Hiring. And honestly, I don't blame them. I don't blame leaders because speed is so very seductive right now. There's so many fear mongering headlines out there that you're going to get left behind, you're never going to catch up. And there's two main things here. The first one is leaders rushing in and treating AI as this simple tech upgrade and not the major cultural and organizational shift that it is. But we're also seeing another emergence, which is leaders treating AI as a band aid for their dysfunctional business. And AI is going to scale whatever it touches, whether it's good or bad. So if you have clunky workflows, if your culture is fragmented, if your leaders are fighting with each other and your leadership team is dysfunctional, if your data is dirty, AI is only going to amplify that dysfunction for you. It's not going to fix those cracks. It's only going to make them bigger and more visible. But I do see a lot of leaders jumping into tools without really like defining what exactly are you solving? What is the problem that you're solving? Or my favorite one is handing AI off to your IT team without any cross collaboration or any strategy behind it. There's also a lot of 2x, 10x your employee headlines and billboards out there. And it does lead to a lot of over promising outcomes without having any change management, any governance in place. When I started to think really deeply about what does it mean to lead AI, my big focus was responsible AI implementation. And I treated it not just as a tech upgrade, but starting from scratch and looking at our organization's DNA, at our communication, at our culture, at our teams, at our workflows, at our values, our identity, because it is going to touch all of those items. As a leader, we have to start with framing, right? I say AI knows more than you, but it doesn't know better than you. Only you know your company best. You know your values, you know your identity, you know your goals. So, what is the business outcome that AI is trying to solve for? How is benefiting? And what does success look like for your specific context that you're in? You also want to start small and not get overly ambitious. I learned this the hard way this summer myself, like running very controlled experiments before having fully scaled to the entire team. Build fluency for your team, not just AI capability. There's one thing knowing how to use a tool, and it's another understanding how it works, why it matters, when to use it, and why using it. And of course, keeping governance, security, ethics top of mind, front and center into your entire AI implementation. But really, AI is not a magic wand, right? It's very much a mirror, and it's going to reflect back at you the reality of your systems, your culture, your values. So if you don't like what you're seeing in that mirror, AI is not going to solve them for you. You just got to do the boring, sometimes unsexy work, that foundational work of getting your organization ready before you layer in AI on top of that.
And people, even those that see it as just a tool, there's this underlying assumption that it's neutral. And it's not. You recently pointed out that it is anything from. And your example that you posted was fascinating. Albania's experiment with an AI minister. Oh my goodness. So, how do we keep bias, oversight, and ethics front and center as AI is becoming embedded in work?
That story hit very close to home for me. Literally, Albania is my home country. And for listeners who are catching up, so Albania made headlines a couple of weeks ago by appointing a government minister AI. And the role of the AI was to reduce corruption in public tenders. And I think the intention of it was transparency, and it was like a very noble intention. But the implication behind it is that, like you said, like AI is impartial and is neutral, which is not the case. AI is never neutral. It is always going to reflect the data that it was trained on, the creator's assumptions, the priorities of those that are going to deploy it. It's never going to be completely unbiased. There's many ways to address it, especially in organizations. One of the ways that I've had to do it is one, narrating your trade-offs. Every model is going to be built on assumptions, right? Because humans are flawed and we are creating it. So as leaders, our job is to communicate why we are making the decisions that we are making. Being able to very clearly communicate that to your employees. This second piece is really important to me, and it is diversifying your creators. If your builders are all looking the same, they're thinking the same, they're living the same way, so will your models. That's why I'm a really big advocate of more women, more underrepresented voices in AI development. Not because it's a great nod to diversity and equity, but it is also going to create much better models for you. You want to build explainability into the design of your models. So you as a leader should be able to ask, why did the model make that decision? And you should be able to get a very meaningful answer. You are still in control. You still have agency. And finally, just keeping oversight, ethics, bias front and center. You just need to be intentional that when you're building a model, that is going to be your North Star, is that whatever you're building is reliable and is safe and it does not exclude groups of people. I think there's a lot of conversations about what the role of leaders is. And in the tech industry, there's a lot of conversations about what is technically possible. But I think we also need to consider what is culturally and socially responsible as well in that environment.
It's essential. And the fact that it gets skipped over, I think, is part of the travesty. I think that's why we need women like yourself speaking these truths, amplifying this. This is part of why we do what we do, is to amplify these perspectives and say, hey, this needs to be at the table.
Yeah, we have a lot more agency as leaders than we think we do. One of my favorite books right now is The AI Driven Leader by Jeff Woods. And he has this great metaphor that I use it very frequently. And he says that you are in the driver's seat and you own the car and you get to decide where AI sits. For some projects, the AI can be your co-pilot. It can sit in the passenger seat. It can help you navigate. It can pick the playlist. But you also can put AI in the trunk. Sometimes you don't even have to take AI along for the ride. So we have a responsibility and we have a lot of agency to make those decisions.
Mhm. And I'm wondering, the World Economic Forum listed influence, systems thinking, communication as core future skills. So, how do you see AI amplifying these human only skills? Or do you see this as a moment to put AI in the trunk? As you just said, can we use it to co pilot with us in these areas? Or do we move on and put it in the trunk in the back and try to just keep it human?
Can we just take a moment and celebrate the fact that these soft skills are now, like, we've always known that these are really important skills. And it's just great that they're in the limelight and we can all agree that these are the skills of the future. They've always been important, but I think now they're just becoming more popular. And I love to see that. I think it depends. For me, in all of those skill sets, I use it as a passenger. It can help me going back to that AI powered in human. So for influence, I use influence a lot with my initiatives to move them forward. So AI can help me analyze sentiment. It can suggest compelling language. It can generate like strategic messaging that I can use. When it comes to real influence, when it comes to shifting the hearts and the minds of people, that requires trust. It requires empathy. It requires the right timing. And that is my sport, right? That is a human sport. AI cannot come in and do that. Same with systems thinking. AI is amazing at visualizing these really complex workflows, and it can forecast risk and it can simulate certain outcomes so you can practice. But when it comes to interpreting those insights in the context of my business, no one knows that better than me. And as a leader, you know which lever to pull. That is something that AI cannot do for you. And with communication, I use ChatGPT and Claude every single day to help me with tone and clarity and making my message accessible. But at the end of the day, they don't know my audience's lived experience, right? They can't read the room. I'm in the room. Sometimes you can have this beautifully crafted message and you enter the room with your leaders, and maybe that day they're feeling demoralized or they're discouraged. And you have to shift gears, right? You have to rely on your own human brain to do that. So I see AI with those skill sets as a force multiplier, but at the end of the day, it's still your discernment, your values, your wisdom that make that message land. I I used to have about 2 years ago, I have lots of sticky notes here. I'm a sticky note person. I just want to
You don't even want me to turn my camera around. You'd see a pile.
I
I'm
was
with uh,
it said, "How can AI help me?" And to me, it was a good reminder, kind of like a little alert to establish using AI as a ritual. And of course, now it's become a ritual, right? Now it's our co-pilot. So I was trying to shift for what can AI do instead of me to what can AI do so that I can show up better, so I can show up as a better leader. I can show up as the better people manager. I can show up as a better employee, a better team member to my team. I love that people use AI to save time. And I just love that. I love being more productive. But as I mentioned in the beginning, that time does get eaten up. Like that time does get filled up by other things. And I think where AI is really transformative is in helping us augment and develop these skills that are going to be future proof skills. I love that for us.
and I know scaling is hard even without disruption. So, practical steps can we take to keep our work aligned and resilient while this is reshaping our workflows?
Scale is hard, but it is so exciting. There's just something about working in that high growth, high ambition, a big kind of North Star and vision. I am just all for it. And I think part of it, her being resilient in scaling is accepting that there's going to be some chaos in there, being okay with it. But you're right, AI does introduce new variables to scaling. You have new tools, you have new workflows, you have new fears too that emerge, but working for a growing company, one of the things that I've discovered is that the antidote to that is not more structure and more rigidity, is just intentionality, like being very intentional as a leader. Some of the things that I rely on and I go back to very often is one, you want to have your anchors. When you're scaling, your company is going to look very different at different parts of your growth. So you want to have those clarity anchors. You want to revisit your vision, your values, your identity, your top priorities, and AI needs to align with those. It shouldn't distract from your strategic goals. You also want to adopt the right problem, not the right tool mindset. Every AI implementation needs to start with a use case that is rooted in real team pain point. Earlier this year, I focused group our entire company specifically on their pain points. So we have a pool of pain points. So when we have projects that we work on, we get to take our people's pain points and actually fix them. When you're scaling, you want to document your processes visibly because they're going to change. But confusion is going to kill your adoption. So make sure that you have whatever your company way rooted in those processes. You want to get your team ready for the future. And that doesn't just mean AI skills, that means human skills. This summer, we launched our non-negotiable human skills summer series. And each month we had consultants come in and they went through lectures and exercises and activities. And it was around adaptability, around emotional agility, strategic thinking and problem solving. And this was part of our AI training, is that in order to interact meaningfully with AI, you also have to be a better human too. And I would say the last thing is build with, not for. So let the people, your end users who are going to actually be interacting with the tools and using the tools, they should be defining what success looks like. And you're going to have more ownership and more accountability that way too.
I love that you brought that up because I literally just had a phone call with someone where they were like, I don't feel like we spoke about AI enough. I don't feel like we talked about AI enough. And I was like, but you've got to understand, it's the whole person coming to the table, looking at the tool. So everything you talked about was connected because that person still has to consider all of those things that you brought up as they're using these tools. So it's this idea of you can't remove the human reality from any type of adoption. This idea of that you're diving into, talking about considering adaptability, considering who you are in this space, those are all vital pieces, I would argue. And where I think we oftentimes will see an adoption fail is because they just started training them on a tool. That to me is such a shortfall in so many adoption processes that I'm almost wondering why we don't have a shared rubric. So wait, do we have an implementation rubric, please? And have the whole human be an entire column on the scale.
Yes.
So vital. And I know you co-lead boot camps for women, building AI literacy and leadership skills. And why do you think it's so critical for women to claim space in shaping this AI-driven future of work?
One, because we're the best on the field.
It's just a given.
Also because if we don't show up and we don't shape this present and this future, it is going to be shaped with that mess and potentially also against us too. And there's history behind it too. Like historically, women have been excluded from defining new technology paradigms. And I love that we are showing up and we are correcting that now, but that window is still very narrow, unfortunately. But it really matters. As women, we have some very innate leadership skills that are those future-proof skills that sometimes just without even training, they come very innately to us. Inclusivity, informed intuition, collaboration, leading with empathy and emotional agility. I feel like recognizing and leveraging the unique contributions that women bring to the table when it comes to AI. Again, it's not just about diversity and inclusion. Organizations need to understand that it's a strategic imperative if they want to thrive in this like interdependence between human insight and artificial intelligence. You need women at the table who are making these rules. And I love to see more women showing up. At the beginning of the year, my LinkedIn feed looks like it was just tech bros talking about these fear-mongering headlines, 10x this, 10x that. And I was so frustrated. And then I realized I have agency, right? I can show up too. And maybe in the beginning, I might be in the minority talking about human first, responsible, intentional AI adoption, but I am going to show up. And I'm so grateful that I took the time to show up, but I also completely curated my feed. On LinkedIn, I found a community of women who are showing up and they're using AI and they're leading AI transformation. And now my feed is just this inspiring, empowering ritual to my day. And I absolutely love it.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So how do we throw down the gauntlet? So many of our women listeners are wanting to take that one practical step to start leading their AI adoption with vision. What challenge would you put before them? What practical steps would you encourage them to take now?
I would say, don't wait for someone to tap you on the shoulder. Don't wait to be picked. Don't wait to be perfect. And one of my favorite things, I say this to myself almost every single day, it's don't be the one to say no to yourself. There's a whole world of people out there who are going to say no to you, but your job, your duty is to not say no to yourself. If you have ever led change, if you have coached others, if you have connected the dots across teams, you already have what it takes to lead AI transformation. If you're playing with AI tools, and if you have that second layer of AI first, AI is all about possibility. And I would say leading with vision means seeing yourself in that possibility. But the second step, which is probably more important, is helping other people see it too. So you can begin with yourself, right? You don't need a team, you don't need a title. You can make yourself the use case. But it's also really important to capture and share your wins relentlessly with others. Invisibility is the enemy of leadership. So if you want to lead it anyway, whether it's AI transformation or AI adoption or be a leader in your team, you cannot keep your efforts invisible. You want to treat each use case, each experiment, each insight like a mini case study, and you want to share it. We're not great at doing that as women. So that is my challenge, is share your win this week, whatever that is. Share it with your team, with your org, with your network, with your boss's boss, but share a win from this week. That's my challenge.
I love it. I love it. And it's not brag. It's not crass. It's you're showing someone that looks like you, that has walked a path that you've walked, what's possible.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that.
So incredibly lucky to have fantastic mentors who have helped guide me. But sometimes it's really even just seeing a stranger on LinkedIn or Instagram, a woman who's showing up, who's taking up space, who's leading. That tells me I could do that too.
And we are so glad that you are. I love it. And where can our listeners connect with you? They're going to want to talk to you again.
I would absolutely love to chat. I am on LinkedIn. It's Gena Hoxha. And I would be so delighted to engage in conversations about AI and leadership, and especially intentional, thoughtful, responsible, human-first AI.
Thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us today and for bringing your vision for how wonderful this can be moving forward. Thank you for tuning in to Empowered by AI. If today's episode sparked ideas, don't wait. Follow the link in the show notes to visit innovativeaistudio.com and download your free resource created to help you put today's insights into practice. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes packed with more tips, tools, and inspiring stories. Until next time, stay empowered and keep innovating.